Hey guys, Gary Ussery here. The pictures you just saw were taken with the awesome Nikon 50mm 1.8G. I've done a review for this lens before, but it's time for an update. The 50mm 1.8G from Nikon is a superb lens, goes by the nickname Nifty 50 or Fantastic Plastic, and it's because it is just too nifty not to own, it's too fantastic not to use, and everyone should own one of these. This particular lens, we can look over it, has metal lens mount. You can see it also has plastic right here though, where the contacts are. Has a rubber gasket for dust and moisture sealing. Manual auto and auto, so you can actually do the manual override while you're in autofocus. The manual ring feels really nice. It's nice and dampened, rubber coated. The entire lens is made from plastic, fantastic. It has a silent wave motor, which is why it is the Nikon AFS 1.8G. Means you can use it on any Nikon that autofocuses, and you will get autofocus. So your D40s, D60s, D3200s, 5200s, 5000s, 5100s, whatever, it'll autofocus. It has one spherical element. It accepts 58mm filters, which you don't even really need a protective UV filter because that front element is really sunk in there. Anyways, looking through this lens, I mean, your plastic build makes it really a light lens. I mean, there's no reason not to bring this lens with you. It fits in a coat pocket. Not many lenses do. Okay, there's a lot of lenses that do, but not many this awesome. I bring this lens with me everywhere in my camera bag just because it's so small. Why not? This lens is usually glued to my camera, but the big problem I've noticed ever since I moved to full frame with my D600 is it is really hard to fill your frame when you are used to shooting this on a DX crop. When shooting this on a DX crop, it is actually the 75mm equivalent field of view. When you're shooting it on D600, you get the actual 50mm, duh, and 50mm when used on 35 is going to give you kind of a what you see is what you get perspective. 50mm is kind of quote unquote what your field of view is in life. So when you take your full frame camera up with the 50mm Nikon, you're going to kind of get the whole thing in view of what you see. So what I noticed being a portrait photographer is it's kind of hard to get people to fill the frame. You really do have to get a lot closer to them than you're used to. The lens comes with the lens hood, front and rear cap, and that's about it. Comes with the warranty, of course. It has 7 elements, 6 groups with those elements, 7 rounded aperture blades for the diaphragm, and the closest focusing distance is 1.5 feet. I do use this lens a lot with my extension tubes for the pseudo macro effect. This lens is a great portrait lens just for the fact that it has really nice creamy bokeh. I'm going to give you guys some bokeh samples right now, starting at 1.8 and moving all the way through its aperture range of f16. As you can see, Daryl Dixon starts out really sharp in focus with everything else nice and thrown out, creamy bokeh, and as you move on, of course, it gets sharper. Check it out. you can see it does throw out that background really nice. I mean, you can't even see Rick Grimes or Pookie in the background when it's at f1.8. So yeah, it's going to make a great portrait lens, but I myself prefer the longer. I like my 85mm for portraits. You get less distortion. You don't have to get as in the face of your subject. Like I said, to fill the frame with the nifty 50, you are really going to have to get pretty close to your subject. So that's a thing. I think the reason why I liked it so much was before, and it was my number one go-to lens before, was when I used it on my D7000. Like I said, equivalent to a 75mm field of view. I'll show you guys some samples right now. Difference between full frame and DX crop. It's pretty significant. Check it out. So yeah, on DX, 75mm is actually really good for that portrait range. You still get the great bokeh. You get the 75mm fill that frame, so you don't have to be right in the face of your subject, and it's has the same benefits as the D600, except for on the D600 it is a wider field of view. The lens is really light, really sharp. I don't know, I like it way more than my 1.8D. A lot of people say they have the same sharpness, and in fact that the 1.8D focuses faster, but I feel like I like the results out of the 1.8G way more than the 1.8D. It's works great with extension tubes. Like I was saying, I use it with my extension tubes pretty frequently. That 1.5 foot closest focusing distance with the extension tubes, you can get some really nice macro shots. Like this one that I took of a guitar. Check it out. Of course, you are watching this video because you are trying to decide, should I buy the 50mm 1.8G or not? So I'm going to tell you some of the cons with this, because for some reason that's more important than the pros to a lot of other people. The lens does feel cheap. It is plastic. Sounds like plastic, but that plastic is what keeps it so nice and light and cheap. The autofocus can be sluggish sometimes. I've not run into it too much. I have used this in some really dark venues, and you just have to be patient. You have to wait for the shot, try to help it get to the proper focusing distance before the shot comes up, and you should be fine, but sometimes it will hunt. And this is kind of a funny complaint coming from me, but this is a very in-the-middle lens on full frame. You aren't going to get super cool wide-angle effects like you would with something that's wider. You're not going to get the long telephoto effects that you get with a telephoto lens. This lens can be rather boring on full frame. It's not a very exciting focal length, but that's preference, so that's just coming from me. Your results, of course, it might be the stellar dream lens that it used to be for me. Don't get me wrong, this lens is still freaking amazing. It is my go-to 50mm. I prefer the 1.8G over just about any other 50mm, and I have used a plethora of 50mm from Nikon. So that's talking strictly autofocus lens. I don't use manual focus lenses myself, but awesome lens. Can't go wrong with the price of $220, and it's fun. Check out these other sample images. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. I will answer any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. Bye.